Hi, my name is Dr. Wahid Akhtar at Medics Aesthetics. I'm the sponsor of GLENNS gift. I'm really excited about it.
Hello.
It's so good to have you on.
Hello.
Marie's one of the very few people. I know a lot of people that are psychic and a lot of people that do readings. Marie's definitely one of the people that I would say is a natural psychic based on things.
Okay, bigging me up here.
Yeah, you are, but you really are. My mum had said that to me too, that it thinks I'm a natural psychic. This comes from my granny, my nanny's daddy's side. She said that when he was an alcoholic, my great granddad apparently used to read palms whenever he was drunk, and then he would have renounced it the next day and said, "Oh no, it was the devil."
Right.
So,
well, my mummy would, but she chooses not to.
Yeah.
But she has an ability, like.
Yeah, see, that's my mummy too. She doesn't use it.
No.
But she has it.
It's just kind of like she knows it happens, I mean, but she's kind of afraid of it a wee bit.
Yeah.
So she kind of shies away from it.
So what age were you when it started to come about for you?
Well, funny you're asking this because my mummy was talking about this recently because she was saying to him, Patrick was asking her, when did you realise there was something different with Marie, whatever.
Yeah.
Mummy says, well, actually, when she was a child, she used to like home in on people that were really down or,
Yeah.
There was problems and nobody knew there was problems till afterwards, whatever, and she'd go to them and give them a hug and they'd automatically lift them up and stuff like that. And that's kind of started. And then there's people like she wouldn't go to.
Yeah.
But mummy says from the baby basically was pointing things, gaga, talking to people basically from when I was no age.
Yeah.
And I suppose when I never really realised it was whenever I was starting to turn into a teenager, that age, that sort of hormonal age when everything's kicking in, from changes were happening, and I sort of went, I was able to finish my friends' sentences and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I used to get bullied for it because they were like, well, she's freaky, or,
Yeah.
and people, that's kids,
Yeah.
And then I used to hear an awful lot of voices in my head. But you don't tell people there's voices in my head. I was cute enough to know, like, not to tell people I hear voices in my head.
Yeah.
Locking me
My
up.
granny had always put that into me too. She was always like, "Then be careful what you're saying. Be careful what you're saying, because you'll end up locked up."
I kind of thought it was like an imaginary best friend because I watched that Right Said Fred or something, or and I thought Drop Dead Fred, sorry it was. And I always thought then, right, okay, this is just my imaginary friend. And then as I got more into the teenage age, probably about 13, 14, I kind of knew that not everybody was not everybody was like this, and not everybody has an imaginary friend. So I kind of shouted at them and told them to go away, leave me alone. You need to go away. I remember shouting at them. You need to go away. You need to leave me alone. And then one day it just stopped.
Just went away.
And then whenever I was 14, still stopped for long. So I was 14. I still would have. It affected me in a different way then, because then the dreams started coming. Like pre-cognitive dreams. And my brother died in a house fire. And I was 13, 14 when it happened. But I was having dreams of it happening before it happened. For about 3 weeks prior to it. And I remember waking up and I was just absolutely like cold, like sweats and stuff. And it was the same night. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. I would have woke up for about 3 weeks solid. And I could smell smoke and I could hear glass being, and I could hear fire engines and stuff. But I never knew what was going to happen. And then that morning, before that morning it happened, my brother died, the house fire, I was supposed to go to school and I woke up and I wasn't well. We were all running late in the house. My brother had tonsillitis. My brother Tomas, he had tonsillitis. And my other brother David, daddy was running him to school. We were running late. And I wasn't going to go in because I wasn't feeling well. And at the last minute I went, I'll go in early. I'll go in late and get out early. Randomly. Because I knew I hadn't got my art homework and all finished, that sort of thing. It was GCSE, the GCSE time for me, 14, 15. And what happened then is that morning I said to him, you be good and leave the dog alone. He used to torture me. He had a wee Yorkie and he used to torture it. And my mummy was upstairs getting washed and getting his clothes out and stuff. And I went on to school with my brother. Daddy dropped us down. As soon as I got to school, I didn't feel well. I put my head down the desk. I felt really sore head and just felt really sick. Put my head down the desk and I was like, oh, I shouldn't have come in. I've got worse. And then I remember it was like I was in the first class. I remember my head of year coming to me, and I remember my granda being at the school reception, and he says, your brother's sick, he's in the hospital, he's really sick, I have to take you. And I was like, oh right, okay. So I thought tonsillitis, he's sick. So basically the house fire started whenever we left, and it escalated that quickly. I was only in school when I was getting taken out, and I remember getting to the doors of the hospital, and my granda, I said, what ward is he in? And I remember my grandpa saying to me, he's in intensive care, he's in ICU, Marie. And I remember running down that corridor. It felt like that corridor was the longest corridor ever. And I remember getting in, and God love me, he's only 4, and all the wee tubes and stuff and all. And I remember Mum and Daddy being so upset and being in the other room and stuff. And I remember seeing him there and being in with him. And I remember saying to him and all, holding his wee hand and saying to him and all, you know, wake up, we'll take you to McDonald's and stuff. And you're a kid, like, you know.
Yeah.
And I still didn't even know what had happened. And then it started to filter that, you know, it was a house fire and we had nothing basically what we're standing in because everything was burnt to the ground.
Yeah.
And I was like, right. And then it sort of dawned on me the dreams I was having. And I was like, and then it wasn't until afterwards, I remember leaving the hospital that day and I remember I'm not going to see him again alive.
Yeah.
I remember like the tubes were keeping him alive. And I remember saying goodbye to him. I knew that that was it.
Yeah.
And I remember then going home to my aunt's house. My mum and dad was obviously still at the hospital. And I remember before I left, they were going to turn the machines off to see if he was going to breathe by himself.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't a mark on him apart from funny enough,
It was
a wee friction burn on his
smoke
inhalation, which would explain the sore heads and stuff I was having in school. And he had a wee friction burn on his hand where you'd obviously got the lighter, what they're assuming, don't really knows, but he had crawled up onto the chair, onto the fireplace, got the lighter and was round the back of the sofa, probably trying to light fire to the dog, to be fair.
Yeah, I love him.
But and I think it dropped and then the spark that's how it started. Well, that's where the fire started anyway. And he had nothing but a wee friction burn. And I found out afterwards that he was found lying at the back door.
Yeah.
But my dad, when he came back, he put my mummy out of the house, and it was just thick black smoke. So my daddy didn't know, and he broke the windows. So going back to my dreams, that's what I was in my dreams. I heard the windows breaking, and I smelled smoke.
Yeah.
And I heard the French, but I didn't know obviously that was going to happen to my brother. But it all started to make sense. Like I was having these dreams. Like why did I not be able to stop that? Why did I not say something? I was 14. I didn't know. I just thought it was nightmares. I was having the same nightmare. And then after that, you know, funny enough, he actually gave me a wee scar on my thumb from a bottle. So a wee tiny scar, and I had this, and his thumb had the wee scar, so he's left me with a mark. And he went with it, just the wee tiny mark. There was nothing on a mark on him apart from that. And I think then that's when I realised that shit, why did I have those dreams? And it started to like really freak me out a bit. I remember telling my friend and stuff about it, and she was going, you know, maybe it's just a coincidence and stuff like that. And you look for other reasons for it.
You definitely do.
Because at the time too, you don't want to, and I blamed myself for a very long time that it was my fault because I didn't say anything. And I knew this, why did I not say anything, you know? But at 14, you don't really know why was I able to know that, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I was still didn't know,
wasn't even aware of
my own awareness. So then it wasn't, nothing really happened then. I would have had the odd dreams and stuff like that, but never said anything. And then when I was 26, my mummy and my aunt took me to see Angela Dunlop in Cultural. And she was doing a DM and we got the tickets, and don't know why, but I'd said to my aunt about getting the tickets. I was really drawn to it. Don't know why, but I was really drawn. Maybe because of my brother, maybe I wanted a message. Probably did, to be honest. But I was drawn to her anyway, and I went, let's go. So they got the tickets and took me anyway. Still, my mummy never ever said anything. My aunt never said about me being, you know, that wee bit different. So sat in the back, towards the back, and I'm sitting and watching, and I can see silhouettes, and there was a black curtain behind her, and I could see the silhouettes in the black curtain. And as she was bringing people through from the spirit world, I could see, I actually said to me, there's a girl in a wheelchair coming next. And I was that engrossed in being able to see them. I thought everybody could see them then. And my mummy looked at me and went, what? And then the next thing, right enough, Angela brought through a girl in a wheelchair. And my mummy and my aunt, I remember them looking at each other and then looking at me, and I'm going, wait, can you not see these? Can you not see the silhouettes? Like, it started with silhouettes. I couldn't make out their faces or anything at the start. It was just like silhouettes. And I was engrossed. I was drawn. Like I felt like I was home. It was like, this is the part of me that was missing. And I was like, oh, this feels like, it felt really, in my solar plexus, it just felt right. Didn't know how. I wasn't afraid of it anymore. And then I was like, right. And then I could hear the voices started coming back after that. And then I did a 1-day workshop. Angela was giving leaflets out about a 1-day workshop. And my aunt then was going, go on. And I was like, no. Just go on. And I was like, no, because I was very shy. wouldn't think of me now like being shy, but I was shy.
Yeah.
And I went, right, okay. So I went to the 1 day workshop, and Marie Fitzpatrick was there, and Shauna Kelly was there, people that I'm still friendly with today and set in circle and stuff with. And the first reading I brought through was for Marie Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
I brought through her cousin, and I remember standing there, and Angela, like, she was talking you through it, obviously teaching you. And I remember feeling like I had no legs.
Yeah.
My legs from my knees down were just gone.
Yeah.
And I had my eyes closed, and I was giving this information out, and I felt this strong presence with me. And I just felt like the voices was coming, but in my mind's eye, I could then see a silhouette. I could see it inwardly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my clairvoyance was starting to kick in at this stage, and I could see just the silhouette of this young guy. And I remembered, because it was one of the strongest readings I've ever done, because it was the first. Mm-hmm. So you always remember your first.
You do.
As they say, without everything, you always
Yeah,
remember your first. And I did. And it was really, really strong. And I just felt like the only way I can explain it is my legs were just from my knees down, were just gone. They weren't there.
Yeah.
And it was completely numb. And I was going, I had my eyes closed, and I was like, my legs are gone. But I could see in my mind's eye this young fella. And then I could hear the voices, and I started to just, what they were telling me, I started to say. And well, what he was telling me, I started to say. And he told me that he was in a car accident. He was showing me, I was seeing them like slide images in my mind's eye.
Yeah.
Of the Falls Road,
Yeah.
outside St. John's Church. I was seeing an ambulance. I said he was in an accident. This guy was in an accident. It was this Falls Road. It was outside St. John's Church. It was a really bad accident. I said his legs, he had to get his legs. He's no legs. His legs were amputated.
Yeah.
His legs were affected. And I said he passed at the scene, because then I felt like I was alive, and the next minute I just wasn't. So he was there, and then he was gone. And for me, that was the feeling I got with the image, was I was alive, and then that was me gone.
Yeah, yeah.
But I knew that I could hear him then saying to me, I need to get a message to my mummy. My mummy has cancer.
Yeah.
And I says, he's coming through because he wants to get a message to his mummy, because his mummy has cancer. I says, and he showed me a red door, and his mummy had a red door.
Yeah.
And now Marie didn't confirm anything until after. I just gave all the information out, and I didn't know Marie at this stage. She was just another girl at the workshop, and I was just telling them everything. Angela wrote everything down, and then afterwards, I didn't know that Marie was confirming to Angela without me knowing.
Yeah.
She was just nodding,
Yeah.
but I didn't have Marie's voice. So afterwards, Marie was able to tell me his mummy does have cancer. He's diagnosed with cancer there. She had a red door. He did lose it was amputated. His whole legs were badly in the lost in the car crash, and he died. Basically, but as we were putting him into the ambulance and stuff. I didn't get any names or anything like that, but that was my first link, and I was like, oh my God, but it felt like something
explodes in you.
Ignited in me. It was like, oh my God, this is real. This is, this feels like this is normal to me. This is a piece of me that I've been missing, that I closed off from.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was surrounded by people that were like-minded as well at the time. So I was able to be myself. I wasn't getting bullied for it, or getting called a weirdo or a freak. So it was part of me that I was able to just be me.
Yeah.
And just say what I was seeing, what I was feeling, what I was getting, and just and I connected with somebody.
Yeah.
And so get the first link out then, and then Angela asked me to sit in her circle. Yeah. So I went along, and of course I dragged my mummy and my aunt with me. I go in the circle with me, and I couldn't even say my name without hitting her in her.
Yeah.
So I went to the circle then, and they came with me, and I sat there in development circle for these must have been a few years, 3-4 years. And then I started working. People started asking me for readings. At the time, I was working as a receptionist in Macro as well, and I had Amy. So I kind of, the readings kind of took over. People were coming all the time, and I was doing 2 works. I was working, and then I was coming home, and I was going out to do house parties and stuff, to do readings and stuff for people. And at the time, Marie was doing it with me, because we decided can't charge people for this. Don't know how to do, I'm still working and blah, but it didn't feel right. And she felt the same, and the 2 of us went out to do them together.
Yeah.
To give a wee bit back to people, because we thought we're helping people. We're able to give them closure, or give them, it felt right.
Yeah, yeah.
And we did that together, and then we started just linking in together. It just came so naturally. Where she was saying what I was saying, I was saying what she was saying. It was just natural. We worked like that together for 10 years now.
Yeah.
Over 10 years.
That's when I met you. You were part of the 2 Maries. Yeah.
We did do things separately on our own as well, but But yeah.
Marie had actually took the circle that I was part of all them years ago. It was about 10 years ago now, wasn't it, nearly? Well, 35 nearly, so.
Was a long time
It
ago.
would be. And I was emotionally
Young
matured.
Glenn.
I don't love mediumship. I really don't. I like it and I like the messages, but it makes me far too emotional. And I think that I have to do it because I know that the messages are needed, and I feel like I have to do it sometimes. But I feel like sometimes we need to evolve a bit more before I can say a bit more. Do you know what I mean?
You just hold them back, but it'll come when you're ready.
Yeah.
It'll come to you.
Yeah.
When I did sit in circle, and obviously I did different workshops with different people. I did Tony Stockwell, Glenn Edwards, Mavis Patilla. I did loads of great. I had great respect for mediums, and I got to learn about the old mediums because I think that's very important.
Yeah.
And I done that in the classes with you. So I give you some homework.
Yes.
I was very bad. I give you some homework, and we just go and research that because for me that's the essence. And you don't get mediums like there was years ago.
Yes, like
unfortunately.
Edgar Casey is one of the ones I love.
The level of mediumship there, Estelle Roberts is my favorite.
Yeah.
But the level of mediumship nowadays compared to then, you know, it's mind blowing.
It is mind blowing.
Back
Really
then,
is.
and if we could get the standard of mediumship back to that, well, you know, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
So I think the importance of going back sometimes and looking at and studying the old mediums and how they worked and you know how they went about things, and because it is wee techniques and stuff, especially when you sit in circle, to get the best out of yourself psychically and mediumistically. So you know, to have that background as well. So I was lucky to be able to have great teaching with Angela and, like I say, Tony Stockwell, Glenn Edwards, Mavis Patilla, James from Prague. I was lucky to you know, I wanted it all, so I went around all the workshops, and they, as they say themselves, you know, it's not you're taking on what they are teaching you. It's not like this is how you do it. It's like you take aspects from each teacher. And you make it what resonates with you take from it.
Big time.
And then just whatever doesn't resonate, it wasn't meant to be for you. You know? But I'm a great believer too of always come back to basics. Always go back.
Definitely see that's it too. Like, and I feel like mediumship always keeps coming back for me for some reason. I did a reading this morning. It was very, very emotional, and I felt really emotional all day after it. Sat there, I like to do the life stuff, but sometimes it just it creeps in. But when I was younger, I feel like I couldn't always switch it off at all.
It took me a long time to kind of work out, right, this is only a part of me. Because it kind of does consume you, and you do become like, oh, I need to do this for this person. And for a long time there, my life did just consist of work, and readings. And I'm not saying my daughter came second to that, because she's very, very just high up there. She's number one. But I wasn't as home as much as what I probably should have been. And stuff like it, because like looking back now, and she'll tell you she didn't want for nothing. And she didn't, you know, she has an ability. But I think that I wish I had have been. So I was a mummy. I was working, and I was a single mummy, and I was working, and I was doing readings, and I think at that time it was what it was, and I'm probably a bit sort of hard on myself that way. But I think with Amy is concerned too, she always remembers me just working all the time and being out and helping other people. Well, sometimes I forgot about what was at home. So I've taken a break, not taking a break as such, but I've taken a step, not a step back from mediumship, because I still work and I still do it. But I've always put work first before, whereas now I put family first. Because I know that I got the balance wrong. But it was just my devotion to Spirit. It was just, I just wanted to do work for them. I wanted to didn't want to let anybody down. If somebody came to you for a reading,
I know.
I had people ringing me at 3 o'clock in the morning. Pictures fell off my wall. Can you tell me why? Things like that. There's there's boundaries. And I didn't set them for people.
I know.
So
it took me a long time too to kind of set them by going, don't resonate it but all the time. But I feel like sometimes too, no matter even when, if I get somebody's energy, I can't help it. I just, my heart.
You have to help them. It's like, it's in you. You just want to help.
Sometimes even when you're tired and you don't want to be annoyed, it's like Spirit's putting you right there to say this and to do that. People don't realise it's all the time. And I sometimes have said, I don't know if I said it on this podcast, but I've said before that I believe everybody kind of has it to a certain extent.
I agree,
And I think that sometimes your thoughts aren't always your own, and that sometimes Spirit's.
Sometimes I think people get like wee messages from Spirit without even realising.
I
mean, it's everywhere. It's all around. Like, for instance, I don't want to bring it back to me, but I can get married, as you know. And for this last week, Patrick was away in Barcelona, Amy was away. There was only me and my mummy having that time to ourselves. She was helping me run about, do things. I said, Mummy, I feel like I'm getting signs. And randomly before Patrick went away, his friend, he had a parcel, something to send to a friend of a friend, to send him like CDs and stuff away, and he was saying, "Here, will you write that name and that guy for me?" And the name was Thomas Martin.
Yeah.
And I was like, "You having a laugh here?" And he went, "What?" And I went, and he thought it was the Martin bit, and he went, "Because it's Martin, same surname as you."
Martin. Oh, wow.
And I went, "Thomas Martin is my brother," and he went, "Oh, so it is, Marie." And I was like, "Right." I said, "That's a wee sign for me, okay?" Because I always write Patrick's parcels for him.
Yeah.
He sends bloody parts for cars and everything. So I sent that, wrote it out for him. He went to the post office away. He went, and I went, "Right, okay, that's a wee sign from Tomas then, right? He's going to be with me on the day."
Yeah.
And I had just got a tattoo for him.
Yeah.
Years to me, like, get the tattoo. But I got a tattoo for him on my wedding day on my back. Because he always used to come in. He used to work with me when I used to bring kids through.
Yeah.
Well, I still do. And when I see him, I know that there's a child.
Yeah.
He's bringing he comes first to bring the child forward for me. And he always comes on the shoulder.
Yeah.
So I got the tattoo in the back of the shoulder. And then I got that was the name. And I was like, right, okay. So if Patrick goes to Barcelona, me and my mum was in the car. And I says, right, Spirit, not testing you, because I would never do that, because it's not right. But, you know, I'm loving these wee signs you're giving me.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for them, and I thanked them for that sign. And my mummy says, "Oh my God, Marie, like," she was driving the car, and I says, "What?" McCorry was on the side of the van.
Yeah.
My mummy's maiden name.
Yeah. So
my granny and granddad died, and mine getting married on my granny's anniversary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So it was McCorry then, and I was like, "Oh, McCorry." Mummy says, "I've never seen anything with McCrory the way it was spelled, McCory." And I was like, right, there's another wee sign then, Granda's with us.
Yeah.
So that was fine. And I says, all I need is my other granda now, because that's my two grandparents and my granny. And all I need is my other granda now.
Yeah.
And I'll have the four of them. So we did a bit of shopping and everything else, and we're driving up a Glen Road afterwards. And I went, "Mummy." And she went, "What?" And I went, "Look at that car in front of us. Look at the registration, private number. Look at that."
Yeah.
And it said Fra. My granddad's name is Francie.
Yeah.
So there was Fra. And I was like, that's the last grandparent. And Sue's are all with me. So thanks, Bert, for that. So that's the wee signs you get every day.
Yeah.
That people sometimes don't see. But if you see them, then you're meant to see them. There's a reason behind it.
Time. Yeah.
So, and it's not like I go about all day looking for these signs. That car was in front of us for ages before I even noticed it.
Yeah.
But it was, when you're meant to notice it, Spirit will get a message to you when you're meant to.
Yeah.
Like,
time.
They know that I always write Patrick's parcels out for him. So that name came to me in that way. I do believe that.
Yeah.
But I was so thankful for those wee simple things that sometimes we always take for granted, I think, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's the wee simple things, the messages are there. We just need to be aware of them.
Yeah.
And open to them.
Yeah. So what would you say to anybody at home that's thinking about getting into psychic stuff or wanting to be a reader maybe, or
if anybody's like feels like they have that urge or they feel that pull, especially in your sort of plaques in your tummy, when you feel like it's right, that sort of gut feeling telling you, like, you know, let's do this, I'm pulled to this, or I'm drawn to this girl, or I'm drawn to this person, go for it. What have you got to lose? See it through. You might actually find a piece of yourself that you thought was missing or never knew existed. So I think it's important that you need to kind of...
It definitely heals you, doesn't it? Like, I remember when I was in Circle...
Changes you.
What was the song?
Man in the Mirror.
Man in the Mirror, Michael Jackson. And I was raging. But years later, maybe about 5 or 6 years later, everything made sense.
But you weren't in the right place then.
I wasn't. I definitely wasn't. I had needed to be more emotionally mature.
And the songs, I did actually sit in meditation and ask for songs for people. And the one that I did, Nicola Courtney, God bless her soul, I give her was Stairways to Heaven. And I didn't know. She was sitting in my circle, but I didn't know that song was a song connected to her wee child that had passed. Our wee twin. And she said, "Oh my God, that's my song. How did you know that?" And I said, "Well, I said it was Spirit. I asked for the songs." So when they give me Man in the Mirror for you, it was I'm not a big Michael Jackson fan. It was randomly came to me, and I was like, this song needs to be for Glenn. And I knew there was a message in it for you. At the time, I didn't know when the message was going to be for you or when you'd appreciate it. And I know that you weren't happy with it at the time, and I knew you weren't happy with it. And he's really not happy with it. Why did you give me this for him if he's not happy with it? And all I could hear was trust. And I was like, well, I have to trust what they're giving me. And I had to say to you, Glenn, sit with it. It'll mean something to you when the time's right.
And it did. It really did.
And it did.
It definitely
I think it helped you an awful lot.
It did. It really did help me.
Because it was the people that you were surrounded with at the time weren't good for you.
I know.
But look at you now.
I know. I'm better now. I had to be more emotionally mature. I think more, like, I didn't.
had
I
this-
didn't want
you
all
had
them
the
feelings in.
you had the hunger for it, but you
yes,
didn't know
I didn't
how
want all these emotions and all.
to process it and put the
Yeah.
emotions
I remember
across.
saying to you, got this circles like a woman's grave.
Yeah.
Remember?
And you used to get
That's how bad it
frustrated
was.
because things weren't happening quick enough. And I
I
was like,
really frustrated, and
time,
because I
give it
didn't
time.
understand, I didn't always understand why you felt the way you felt, and then I let it in one day. It's like, oh my
But it'll
God.
come when the time is right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I see a big change, big improvement in
Yeah.
your readings and your mediumship. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
take my hat off to you. Like, you've done that incredibly well, and I'm
Yeah.
just really proud of you.
Thank you, Marie. You've done well too, love. You're brilliant. You're everywhere doing meetings, aren't you?
I am doing a lot of
Yeah.
readings. As I say, I'm a bit quieter at the minute because I'm doing Derry. I'm doing a lot in Derry and Banbridge at the minute with
Yeah.
readings. But in the new year, after my honeymoon and stuff, proper
Yeah.
honeymoon, I'm going to get back into my demonstrations and stuff again. It's going to be like a
Yes.
comeback and put myself out there more to help more people
Yes.
again, because
Brilliant.
Amy's up now, and you know, I think I have a lot more still.
Yeah,
still
Marie,
to
where
give.
can people find you?
I do have a Facebook page, Om Shanti Holistics, bit of a tongue twister. But maybe you can write it down and put it on because the spelling a bit.
Yeah, Shanti Holistics. I'll put it in.
I hardly ever get time to check in, but I do check in from time to time.
Yeah.
You can get me on my phone number. I'm basically doing a lot of regulars at the minute.
Yeah.
But in the new year, I do
Taking on some more
plan
plans.
to work more on that page.
Yeah.
I am going to do maybe out of the comfort zone.
Yeah.
And do some lives.
Yes, I think
because
so.
I haven't done it.
Yeah. You can go on my page and do a live.
I know most mediums have,
Mm-hmm.
and I really still haven't. I'm very shy. You wouldn't think of it, think I am, but I really am.
I know, I'm really surprised you're even doing this today. Normally, it's very, very shy.
Very shy.
Yeah.
I don't like to be everybody looking at me, and to the point where I've picked the smallest aisle to walk down to my wedding because I don't like being looked at. But for that first couple of minutes when I'm standing at a dam, it's me. After that, I'm not even aware that I'm there.
Yeah.
It's about spirit. I give that out and that's it. It's not about me.
Yeah.
But for that few minutes when I'm standing there and it is me, it's like, oh, everybody's staring at me.
Yeah.
You know, that type of thing. But then once I start working with spirit, I forget about everybody else being there.
It goes away then, doesn't it?
And I need to get back into that again.
Yeah.
Just out of my comfort zone, because you do get to reach a lot of more people, but I do prefer the one-to-ones.
Yeah, see, I prefer one-to-one too.
I think it's more personal and more private and you can get more intimate. You're not holding things back. Not that you hold back, but you're quite aware if it's a sensitive situation, what you can and can't give out in a DM, because everybody's there. And you know, but I do like one.
I like the deeper tones, so that's why one-to-one. I think I don't mind stage work. I only would really do it for charity. It's not something I want to do all the time. I don't.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I get that buzz off doing a live and all, maybe doing podcasts and things, but not.
You see, I've never done anything like this. This is the first. This is why I'm probably sitting here like this.
You're natural.
It is the first. So first time only.
First time only, but not the last.
Not the last.
Not the last.
I am going to be open to it more.
We definitely need to be creating more content and having these sort of spiritual conversations, I think. And I think it's good for readers to get together and talk about different things too.
Definitely.
So we're not crazy, you know what I mean? And
no, it's getting the awareness of spirit out there a wee bit more. And it's important to let people know that there is life after death, you know. And it's.
Do you have an awareness of it?
This is only a chapter.
I don't. I've said this before. I have a perception slightly, but I don't have an awareness of what the next bit is. I know bits and pieces. I can see different elements, but I can't make up a full picture.
I've had meditations. I've had quite deep meditations. I've actually explored physical mediumship with Scott Milligan.
Yeah.
I went to one of his seances.
Yeah.
Over in England. Scott Milligan, if anybody doesn't know, is an absolutely fantastic, renowned physical medium.
Yeah.
And we went. I'm drawn to that, and I went, and he sat me in the cabinet, because that's what physical medium does, is sit you in the cabinet or whatever.
Yeah.
And Marie was with me. She went to the thing as well, and Linda went. A few of us went over to his. And it's a Christmas one, and I had bought. We went down to Tesco's, and it was Scott works an awful lot with children that have passed the spirit, and I think that's why I kind of felt comfortable, felt at home, because obviously my brother. I am big children a lot. For a while, a lot of children when it came with Tomas brought them to me.
Yeah.
To give the messages across. And what happened then was we went to Tesco's to get some toys and stuff to put in the middle of the seance. And Scott is actually cable tied into the chair, and I actually put the cable ties on, so we made sure they were in there.
Yeah.
He was in there. And in his seance, everybody has to hold hands. You're not allowed to break hands at any moment.
Yeah.
So the hands are always held. and there was toys and stuff that we had bought and put in the middle.
Yeah.
And it was a Christmas one, so there was like a wee half a Christmas tree or whatever. So I had went to Tesco's beforehand, before the seance, just to get a few bits and pieces or whatever. And I had seen one of those elves on the shelf.
Yeah.
And I went, I wonder if he let me put that in the seance.
Yeah.
I'm getting it. So I got everybody else getting toy stuff. I get the elf on the shelf.
Yeah.
And I brought it back to him and I said, Scott, you want to put that? And he goes, yes, so we'll see what happens with it. He even did, and he said it, he let me go in with him, and we set it on the top of the wee half a tree that was sitting with our toys around it. And the toys were all wrapped and stuff as well. So we set it there. And after the seance, the toys, what I love about that is the toys that he uses in his seance, he gives to the children's hospice, which is amazing.
Yeah.
You know? But the toys were wrapped anyway, and the elf was sitting, and we were sitting in the seance, and Spirit actually came, and I felt them.
Yeah.
They set the elf on my knee. They knew that I had left the elf in there.
Yeah.
And they set the elf to give me the elf back.
Yeah.
And it was wee spirit children, and you could feel them touching you.
Yeah.
And there was nobody in this room, is locked. There was nobody else in the room. He's cable tied. Everybody's holding hands. His room's checked and everything beforehand. And Spirit touched me.
Yeah.
And they knew that I'd set the elf, and they gave the elf back to me. And I got a direct message from Spirit that night saying that, you know, the Spirit children, thank you for the elf and the shelf and stuff, which was lovely.
Yeah.
But that made it real for me, because obviously, well, I knew it was real anyway, but it's physical mediumship kind of backed it up, because you're getting something that you know, the video, my quote, I learned it very early on. Angela Dunlop to thank for it. It was on her wall, and it always stuck with me. It was, faith is a journey of the soul to go beyond what the eyes can see.
Yes. Yes.
And I love that. I actually need to get that tattooed on me.
Yeah.
Because I love it, because it is about, you know, you can't see it, but you have to have that faith that it's there.
Mm-hmm.
And that made it real for me too, because getting that wee elf and all back, and you know, the trumpet was up in the air, and we had obviously the room was dark, pitch black, but it had fluorescent things around the hula hoop and stuff like that, and it was up in the air and everything was going on, and it was just lovely to see her Spirit came to join us for that time. That was so precious. And that was moments that not everybody gets to have.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, obviously I want to develop that as well, you know, my physical mediumship side of it. But I also was thinking to myself about how even in your own readings, when you're giving somebody a mediumship reading or even a psychic reading, you're giving them a wee bit of something that they have to go away and think about having the faith there behind it, you know. And it's that wee bit of belief that there is something, and it's definitely there. It's just, it's so easy not to believe because you can't see it.
Exactly.
Know? But as you know, Spirit work on your senses. They have a funny way of getting messages through, and it definitely makes you go away and think about it. And then I did a trance workshop as well, and
see, I'm really interested in the trance mediumship.
I really wasn't until I went to Lynn Proverb's. A lovely medium, works along with Tony Stockwell. She's actually a teacher in Arthur Finlay College. And I went to one of her workshops, and I never meditated without music, right? And I sat with her, and she says, we're going to do meditation, we're going to music. I was like, no music? How am I going to meditate with no music? I've done this before. Well, I went as deep as they can go. I was gone. I was somewhere else. I was just gone. And the only way I got back is in the distance, I could hear Marie Fitzpatrick's voice calling me back. Now, the room was filled with people, and Lynn Pro was trying to get me back, but the only way I could come back was I heard Marie. Otherwise, I was gone. And I was good. I was out for good, like, you know, and I was just with the spirit world, just sitting in the silence and with the spirit world. It was just the way I could describe it. When I went down, I could see myself going deeper and deeper, deeper. It's like levels of like darkness in a sense, but there was light there. But it was just going, the more, it was like angelic, the more you were going down deeper and deeper and deeper, the more you could feel the whole awareness of spirit around you deeper, the deeper you went. And then I just sat there, and I remember sitting, and I had, obviously when I was sitting in normal, you know, in the circle, I had my clothes on, but when I was sitting in all I had was this white gown on me, and I was just sitting with my legs just crossed, just sitting there, and I could just feel this presence of all different spirits coming and going in around me. It was beautiful. You know, it was just to sit there in the silence and be with them. Was amazing. It was, and then that triggered my trance ability then, and I was like, and I have done trance where I have spoken different voices and different languages.
See, I would love to be able
I
to
was
get to that
speaking
point
like
where I
a
can
French
just
lady,
let go and go.
And I was speaking French, and I was like, I
think I like it far more than the physical. See, if I don't like physical, it scares me. It always goes too far with me.
Really? Were you there the day we did the table tapping?
I think I was.
And it was like Tracy Tracy Bryson and stuff was there as well at the
I think
time.
so.
Lovely medium as well. She was there was a lot of our circle was really very strong circle, and our energy was very strong when we were together.
Yeah.
And that table just floated right across the room.
Aye.
It's happened a few times in readings.
Like I've witnessed things all my life, things, different things happening.
Oh, we've been doing readings with Marie, and light bulbs have blown above us.
Aye.
And just the energy, you know, and people don't realize the energy, how much it can affect, you know. And my partner Patrick, he would have been afraid of it on, but it's just normal to him now.
See, I get this wind and rain storm because we're sitting here like this. It really is.
It's the energy.
It's electromagnetic.
Your energy when it connects with someone else that has like that ability or whatever, it does heighten. Heightens everything. Senses heighten, definitely.
Marie, you've been a great guest, love. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Are you going to come on again sometime soon?
Yes, I will.
And you'll be Mrs.
I've got over the stage, right?
You'll be married then, won't you?
Yes, I'm keeping my own name. I'm taking his name and he's taking mine. I said to him 50-50. So we're going to be Mr. and Mrs. Martin Galvin.
Brilliant.
So,
brilliant. Marie, I wish you all the luck for your wedding. Yes,
Thank
of course. We would love to have you on again. You've been great.
Thank you.